This is the Mercedes-Benz EQS 500. Now this is the locally assembled version and it takes over the electrification duties from the EQS 450 Plus, which was in fully imported unit. Now it is more efficient and it is 50,000 ringgit cheaper. So in this video, I'll tell you that I'm not totally impressed by the EQS 500. Let me explain why. Now before we get into the facts and figures, let's take a walk around the car and talk a little bit about its design and the one thing that I have a problem with, the general quality of the car. Well, the one thing that I also can't wrap my head around is this. Even though there's three-pointed stars everywhere and it's supposed to look good, but I just think it's way too much black plastic for a top-of-the-line Mercedes-Benz. Now keep in mind, an S-Class is the best Mercedes-Benz you can get short of a Maybach. So that is rather unbecoming. The other thing that is unbecoming of a Mercedes-Benz is this. It just feels way too flimsy, and when you open it, yeah, it just rattles. And it's not just one door handle, it's over here as well. I mean, this is probably worse. So, and that general theme of iffy quality continues inside as well. Design wise, well, of course, because it's an EV, so it's supposed to have a really low coefficient of drag, so it has this slippery sort of design, and that's what it's supposed to do. But design is always subjective. But on that note, this is a really big booth, guys. I'm thinking maybe 3, perhaps 4 golf bags if you stack it up. Now that's huge. So other than that though, I think it's generally a good looking car. I mean, it's humongous. The design is massive, right? And while the EQS 450 Plus had the AMG line, the EQS 500 has the electric line. So you get stuff like 20-inch wheels rather than 21-inch wheels, and it's supposed to look more elegant, hence why you get more chrome bits around the car. Now let's step inside and I'll tell you how it generally feels. Inside is obviously magical, because when you first get in here, the thing that captures you is this mega hyper screen. Seriously, it is just humongous, this thing. 141 centimeters long. You get 12.3-inch screen here, a 12.3-inch screen there, and a 17.7-inch screen here. If you're into screens, this is beautiful. But I never bothered cleaning the car because I wanted you to see what happens after a couple of days of using the car. It just collects fingerprints and dust like it's the hobby. But besides that, the other thing that really irks me about this car is the quality. It's the lack of quality inside here. I mean, look at this, yeah? So now I have to be gentle and so, see what I mean? So I think it's very unbecoming of an S-Class, right? And then the other thing is that I've said this before in my previous reviews of Mercedes-Benzes, this gloss black with haptic buttons just does not cut it, guys. Mercedes-Benz, please. Look at it. The dust around the steering wheel is just livid. It's just annoying. Okay, but I'm done. The The seats are nice. They're ventilated seats, black Napa leather. They're obviously hugely comfortable. It's wow, okay? Yeah, no, it won't. You get this huge glass panoramic roof. It's also, yeah. So it's one of those things that I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do that, but anyway, it's one of those things that really, when you first get in, it's wow. It looks really good. But then once you start poking and prodding or driving it after a few days, you start looking beyond the obviously nice design. Some things start to not make so much of sense. I mean, come this side. So the other thing is, I mean, this panel over here, it creaks and it moves like it was installed at a Brothers outlet or somewhere. So it's not very S-Class like. And this panel too, it just sort of creaks and such. Okay, but beyond that, check out this frameless door. This is nice. But besides that, this glass is a double panel glass. Check out how thick it is. So this results in a very quiet interior. Let's go take it for a drive. Alright, so before setting off, let's talk facts and figures, because in an EV, that's what matters most. And because this is the locally assembled version, so it's actually surprisingly up on power. Well, for starters, it produces 449 PS and 828 Newton meters of torque, which is plenty. If you compare that to the EQS 450, the EQS 450 produced about 333 PS and 568 Newton meters of torque. So not only is the EQS 500 cheaper, but it's also more powerful. And that results in a 0 to 100 acceleration time of 4.8 seconds. But besides that, the EQS 500 is also all-wheel drive. It has twin motors, whereas the model that it replaces, the 450 Plus, had a single motor. Well, top speed is rated at 210 kilometers per hour, but I think the most important figure over here is the charging time and the range. If you're wondering on the range, well, unfortunately the EQS 500 has a range of 696 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. I say unfortunately because the EQS 450, which is more expensive, it's dearer, had a range of roughly about 100 kilometers more at 782 kilometers. 100 kilometers here and there, I don't think it's going to change much. But in terms of charging, with AC charging, with the 11 kilowatt charging, gives you it takes 10 hours to charge the EQS 500 from 10 to 100%. And if you have access to a DC charger with a CCS2 connection, with up to 200 kilowatt output, good luck finding that, you can do a 10 to 80% charge in just 31 minutes. Now that's quite impressive. So the numbers don't lie. Performance is great. It has great range. So if you can look past some of the niggles here and there, I think it's quite decent in terms of charging time, in terms of range, in terms of performance. But you don't really buy an EQS for performance. If you want something for performance, I might have something for you. And it involves 4 rings from Germany in the form of the Audi e-tron GT, or perhaps even the Porsche Taycan. But that's a different story altogether. All these cars are roughly about the same price range. Let's feel how this car is like to drive. Oh, another thing that I'd like to point out, that it also comes with rear wheel steering. Now this was a big deal when Mercedes-Benz introduced the EQS globally. There's a lot of content out there promoting the rear wheel steering. So what this rear wheel steering system is supposed to do is it will steer the rear wheels at up to 10 degrees in opposite directions to the front wheel at low speeds, and this gives it tighter, more maneuverability, makes the car easier to manage, because this is actually a big long car, right? So in parking lots and such, the rear wheel steering helps. At higher speed, it steers the wheels in the same direction as the front wheels, and that makes this behemoth feel like a sports car, because it really does feel agile. Now, in the back seats, I remain unimpressed, to be honest. I don't get my own window shades, which is not very impressive. Also, even though I get my own screens over here, and there's this tablet screen, but I've been trying to get them to connect to the system for the past 20 minutes, and it keeps telling me connecting. I would have hated to pay 700,000 for this car and have screens that take forever to connect. They're still not connecting, and it's not a very comfortable place to be in. The back seats come with this rare comfort seat package, which gives you this comfortable pillow-like head restraints over here, which are nice, comfortable and such. But let me put this away. If you see, this thigh support just comes down till here. It's not very comfortable in that sense at the back here. And then again, as I said, there's no privacy screen. I believe the previous generation S-Class had that, or the internal combustion version has that. And no, it just does not feel like an S-Class. Sorry. I think at 700,000, the BMW i7 maybe might feel better. But back seats of the Mercedes EQS 500, the CKD version, no, sorry guys, not impressed. But as soon as you start driving, of course, because it's an EV, there's hardly anything that you hear. Of course, this modern S-Classes, even the petrol-powered one, the ICE-powered one, you get this soft background chimes that is supposed to make it feel more luxurious,
Caution, sharp curve in 300 meters.
So it's supposed to just have some background sounds, but rather than chimes, I would have preferred something like, piano, very soft piano at the background. Not quite sure if I can change that. I'll have to explore it further. But I would like to bring your attention to the air suspension on this thing, because it's brilliant, it's quiet, it soaks up everything. I mean, look at me, I'm practically not raising my voice, and 0 to 100, 4 over seconds, this thing can go, right? So merging with traffic is no issues, and right now I'm in comfort mode and I want to attack this corner. Body roll. Can I just quickly spot? Okay, much better. Still body roll. Flat out. Sounds like a banshee, but this you can change. That's the beauty of EVs. And this, even though it's an S-Class, it can go, seriously goes. But the brakes on this thing is something that I really want to talk to you about. The brakes on this thing can be scary because they do not have that initial bite. So when you want to really come to a stop fast and you step on it and it does not have that initial, like you go past like an inch and it doesn't respond and your heart skips a beat because you're like, oh my God, did I just lose the brakes? And then suddenly it grips. Of course, I understand this is regenerative braking, yada yada yada, but I think they could be better because right now it feels like a piece of wood that has soaked up water over many years, or just a sponge. So that brakes, yeah. But anyway, you're not supposed to drive the S-Class in anger. You're supposed to take it easy. You know, perhaps you have a chauffeur driving it for you, and back into comfort. And this, it does really well. The suspension can be a little bit floaty. The ride quality on this is a little bit floaty. There's no way else to describe it. So it's not firm. Even in sport mode, let's feel that again. Even in sport mode, it's firm, but at the same time, you can say, actually it's an S-Class. What do you imagine it to do? It's an S-Class with a lot of power, guys, right? Oh, there's another thing. This is the traffic light view right now. Let me see. Don't forget to put this. There's the traffic light view right now. So because this traffic light up here is out of my view, so I can rely on the monitor over here to tell me.
Sharp turn in 300 meters.
So anyway, the driving quality of this is okay. I mean, if you're into serene interiors, a floaty suspension,
Caution, sharp turn in 60.
if you're into all of that, then perhaps you might like it. But do keep an eye out, or do be wary of those brakes, because as I said, they can catch you off guard. And besides all of that, I think it has that S-Class in the feel of an S-Class. That means the interior is quiet, hardly hear anything of the world outside. The suspension does brilliant work at isolating you from horrible road conditions that we sometimes face in Malaysia. So it does all of that really well. But if you want a better feel, especially from a driver's point of view, you might be left disappointed. Then, if you're a chauffeur, the seats will keep you comfortable all day long, that's for sure. But I have to say though that I'm a little bit disappointed in the overall quality of the interior. I mean, these buttons creak, this door handle, every time I pull on it, it creaks. The driver's seat, well, every time I go over a hump, it sort of moves. It feels like it's not properly bolted down. And this panel over here does not stick in place. It's not very S-Class like. So in that sense, overall quality of things, I mean, even this panel over here, it creaks and it moves. And this gloss black is ugly, but that's subjective. But it shouldn't move and creak like that. That's something for Mercedes to look into. But generally, the quality is decent. It's only once you start paying attention to the tiny details that do you realize that, hey, it's just not very S-Class like, you know, having driven almost all of the generations past 1995 or 1993, I can think of other S-Class models that were better built than this. Of course, technology aside, this thing is a technological masterpiece. There's no doubt about that. But quality,